All right, good morning, traders. Today is March 18th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That's a day trading division of the Hit and Run Candlesticks family. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry about that. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. All right. Thank you for following and liking and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Love that. Special shout out Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, Kathy, Sarah, Roasted, Bob Jordan, John Jordan. Thank you for sharing the content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. Appreciate that. Love that. It goes without saying, all right? I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at the markets today, see what we can discover, see how we can make some profits today. Let's first take a look at, I have a few announcements. Remember e-learning tomorrow, March 19th. Topic's going to be trade entries. Don't forget to ask questions. It's going to be probably a 45 to 60 minute presentation from each of us, one from Doug, one from me, one from Rick. So about every hour, all right, on the hour or close to it, you'll get a presentation from each of us. Now, if you don't see me here in the trading room, it's because I'm in the combo room enjoying the other presentations. So let's take a peek at those. Again, the topic's going to be trade entries. Again, that's one of the perks of being a member. Let's see if I can drag that up here. And let's see what we got here. All right, so you would go to your home page. All right, so there's a home page, and you would go to, well, this would be your members page right here. So you go over here to Combo e-learning. Click that. That'll open up another room for you called the Combo Room. Just log into that, and that's where it will all start. If you want to look, each recording will probably be recorded. Each presentation will most likely be recorded. All right. Now, if we get them recorded, they are going to be placed. The recordings are going to be in the e-learning replay under the resources tab. You can see right here there is a presentation from, well, there's some from Tex right here. There's one from Ed. But anyways, here are some of the recordings. And you come all the way down. There's 10 to a page. We have 35 pages. That's 350 videos. All right. And if that's not enough videos for you, all right, on learning, all right, we got some public videos as well. All right, and I think there's 20 pages of 10 right here on these, right there. Yep, 20 pages of 10. So that's another 200 videos right here. So you got 350 and 200. That's 550 videos, 550 videos right here just in the resources tab. Talk about learning content. We got you covered. All right, so let's take this away. Let's take a look at the market from yesterday. Let's get the summary going. So my SPY pivot this morning, 672.20. Above and I'm a bull, below and I'm a bear. Okay, so SPY, Stinker, IWM, Diamond Dow, all made higher highs and higher lows, closing inside bearish traps under their falling 17 EMAs. QQQ, higher low, higher high, closed over a bearish trap and under the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute downtrend, more like a bullish, more like consolidation than it was a downtrend. It wasn't a very steep downtrend. It was kind of flat, really, but it was 10-minute downtrend. Gold made lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. I think silver did the same thing. Silver, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. USO, lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap and over the rising 17. USO on fire this month. UNG made an inside day. That's a lower high and a higher low, closing under, bearish cross and under the flat 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a daily uptrend, closed near the 99.55 area, trying to break out of that bear flag back up to the upside, trying to reverse the bear flag instead of follow through from the bear flag. Okay, SPY Max Pain says 670. I checked the stats here, and I'll take a peek at that one more time. And we're here, and Max Pain is, yes, 671. They changed it on me, okay, with 1.2 puts for each call that expires today. All right. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Main event this week is today at 2 p.m. FOMC is going to make an announcement regarding possible rate cuts. We'll see what happens there. I'm not expecting much. All right, and the market probably won't like it. So if we don't have a downtrend going by 2 o'clock, we may find ourselves in a downtrend afterwards. I can't see them making rate cuts with oil and energy being high. Oil goes into everything, so there's a strong possibility that there is no rate cut. All right, because oil's going to factor in as kind of inflationary in the fact that energy is rising as a cost to everybody. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so this is your first time seeing this. These are all in bullish daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in bearish daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a star next to it, they're building out a launch pad or a bull flag from which to launch higher. If they got a star next to it over here, they're building out a bear flag, or I call it a platform from which to dive lower. So we'll see what happens with the FOMC at 2 o'clock. Kind of probably think about being flat before 2. It's probably going to get volatile. We'll see what happens, all right? So there's what happened yesterday. Let's take a peek at what's going on. You can see here on the 10-minute chart for SPY, you've got the sticks and the 3. The 3 is riding underneath the 8, but the sticks are kind of not riding underneath the 8 right here, 8 EMA. So you got, you got a little bit of space. You can see some daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA, so I'm calling it a 10-minute downtrend. It's consolidation, really. QQQ got the same thing. I think theirs is a little bit more healthier. So there's SPY, 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Look at this, bullish gap up, and the bears never filled the gap. All right, same thing as yesterday or the day before. Bullish gap up, bears never filled the gap. See that? That happened yesterday, or the day before, and this happened yesterday. So we go to the 2-hour chart, and you can see we got the sticks and the 3 EMA, that's the yellow line, okay, up over the 8 EMA, which is the white line. So that is, you can see daylight between the yellow line and the 8 EMA right there. That's the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. So you got daylight. So we got, I'm going to call it daily, 2-hour uptrend right there on SPY coming into the close yesterday. All right, on the daily candle, we got a higher low, higher high, and we closed inside a bearish trap under the falling, see the red dots, that's the 17 EMA. So under the falling 17 EMA, and we're in a downtrend because if you look at this, we've got, okay, there's our quad lines. Let's take this off. All right, that's our downtrend line. You can see we're making lower highs and lower lows. So here's some lows. We got lower lows, and we got, this is the last highs. We've got lower highs and lower lows. So downtrend, but bullish. Okay, this is the origin of our move. April right here, up and over to the right. So that's bullish, but in a downtrend right now for SPY. On the weekly chart, see all the green dots? Okay, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend. We have not made a lower low. All right, on the monthly chart, and here is the origin right here in April, up and over to the right. We're still bullish. We have not made any lower lows below the 17. So bullish and in an uptrend on the monthly chart. So weekly, monthly, still in uptrends. Daily, holding bullish flag form, all right, but in a downtrend currently, okay? So 2 hour was in an uptrend, 10-minute was in a downtrend. I call it looks more like consolidation. All right, so let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Well, let's take a look at this right here on the 15. Okay, so what happened on Monday? This would be the 16th. Okay, so I've got on Monday, we've got, that's not the one, just a second. All right, so we called it out early in the morning. I said we plan to trade a continuation of the SPY. So this was posted long before the market opened, so traders could take advantage of the 10-minute uptrend that was happening in the pre-market. I plan to trade a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend up to target 1. If you look at target 1 right here, all right, you can see this would be gap up. We had a 10-minute uptrend in the pre-market. You can see clearly right there. We got all the way up to 671.40. Okay, so we get the number right on the right on the nose. All right. The next target was, yeah, that's the one, 673.40. And as you can see on that one, we did not get 673.40. So the very next day, we had another 10-minute uptrend. That was yesterday. Okay, so on that one, guess what? We traded a continuation of the SPY 10-minute uptrend up to target 673.40. So we went much higher than 673.40 yesterday. On that 10-minute uptrend, we went all the way up to 674.40. All right, so nice rip up to our target and then some on up to the next target. We fell short of hitting 675 right there. So nice call out both in the mornings on Monday and Tuesday. We'll see what happens today. We've got pre-market consolidation. All right, so let's take a look at that in the pre-market. And we're melting off. All right, and there might be a good reason for us melting off. Okay, so let's take a look at our downtrend line. My target, my upside target today was 676.50. But let's drag a downtrend line through here, and let's see how close we came to hitting that. That's pretty darn close right there. Okay, on that downtrend line right through there. So right through there, downtrend line, you can see price hit the downtrend line. Now, recently in the past, all right, whenever we hit this area down here, there's like a $10 rally, all right? And you can see it's long gone. Those $10 rallies are long gone, okay? So no more $10 rallies here. So this was nice rally here off of let's just call it 670, clear up to, well, 687 right there. So that's $17, but that took a few days, but $10 bounces. So we're not getting any more of those. So I just want to prepare you for today. Now that we've hit the downtrend line, we could see the reverse happen to the downside. We could get a $10 dip today, all right? So depending on FOMC, I really don't think they're going to cut rates, but we'll see. So we could get a $10 dip today in that we just hit the downtrend line. So this was before we hit support and we ripped for close to $10. So we could see a big move to the downside today. So be prepared for that. Okay, so that 10-minute downtrend looking like it's starting to manifest right now. If it hasn't already, oh, yes, we already got one going. So we got a 10-minute downtrend already happening as we speak. Downside target, well, I would go for the gap fill. I would go for the brass ring, which is the gap fill all the way down here at 662.31. All right. I would go for the brass ring all the way there. There'll be a stop here on gap fill at 669, and I would go for the brass ring, which is 662.28. All right, all the way down there, and don't be surprised if they go further. All right, so just saying. Okay, before we had 10-minute rips to the upside, and since those days have long gone, now we're underneath that support that caused those rips. We may get a $10 move to the downside. Just want to say that several times because that may be what's manifesting right now is a $10 move to the downside from this 674 area. We'll see. All right, maybe even more. Those candles are starting to grow in size. So here we are with the gap fill. We get a little bounce off that gap fill, off this support. Might short the bounce. We'll see. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute downtrend. I plan to trade a continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. That's my plan. We'll see how far it takes me. All right. Again, target down here is the brass ring, which is 662.28. Okay, so there's SPY 10-minute with the pre-market on. QQQ, I'm going to say, is probably going to be mirroring the SPY. Okay, yeah, you can see right here, little mirror image, all right, of SPY. Again, the gap fill, again, down here, 593. All right, go for the brass ring all the way down here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at today, QQQ. All right, we'll see if GEX is up and see if we can extrapolate anything from VIG-GEX. Oh, they were up for a second and then they disappeared. Okay, we want the 18th. Okay, let's see what we got for the 18th. Okay, so we got a little one right here, 672. I got a feeling that's going to get cleared out pretty fast. This node of sellers right there, I think that's going to get cleared out very fast, and I think we're going to get some selling to the downside. We'll see what happens. All right, so far AI is saying to stay neutral. We'll see what happens. All right, but that's GEX for us right now. All right, so there's QQQ. All right, so let's go back and look at QQQ on the 10-minute, but let's look at it over here. Again, you got 10-minute consolidation. All right, you can see very little daylight between the 3 and the 8, and you can see the sticks are actually plotting not under the 3, but actually over the 3 and the 8 here. There is a little bit of daylight, so we can call it a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. I would call it consolidation. You can see that some of the sticks here are plotting over the 3, the 8, and the VWAP all at the same time. Okay, so call it consolidation right there on the 10-minute chart. All right, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. Again, you got the sticks and the 3 are plotting up over the rising 8. So we got a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday. On the daily candle into the close is a higher low and a higher high, closing over the bearish trap. So see the 3 is underneath. You got daylight there over the bearish trap, but under that flat 17 EMA, which is those dots. And those dots turn green when price is above, and they turn red when price is below. So you can see, and we're under that 17 EMA. Now, if we look at it with the quad lines on there, okay, you can see this is the origin of our move, April, up and over to the right. We're still in a bull flag. Okay, so we're in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. All right, but let's call it what it is. All right, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP, the pink line. We're under the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're under the uptrend line, but we're still in an uptrend, believe it or not. We inked out a couple of pennies higher high over these 2 wicks over here. And since we've inked out those higher highs, we're in an uptrend. That made us in an uptrend. But here's the deal. Price has not continued to go higher. It has actually either gone to the right or melted lower. All right, so I call it a dysfunctional uptrend. Okay, so there's QQQ, bullish, middle of quadrant 4, dysfunctional uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. All right, here's IWM, yesterday's candle, higher low, higher high, closing inside a bearish trap under the falling 17, under the pink line, that's the all-time high anchored VWAP, still in quadrant 4 up here. So still bullish, but you've got lower highs and lower lows, still in a downtrend, still in a downtrend on IWM. Diamond Dow. Okay, same thing. Higher low, higher high, closing in the bearish trap under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still quadrant 4, so still bullish. Anytime you're still in that upper third, again, just like IWM, here's the origin of our rally. I'm back here in April. I'll show you IWM as well. Okay, the origin of our rally back here in April. Okay, so back to Diamond Dow. Okay, and we can see right here, we're closed inside the bearish trap, but we have not made any higher highs. There's a high, there's a lower high, okay, there's a low, and yes, these are lower lows, so we're still in a downtrend. So that is moving down. Notice on both Diamond Dow and IWM, we have downtrends that actually are moving down. They're not dysfunctional like some of the others. So there's Diamond Dow. It is bullish, but in a downtrend. IWM, like I said before, bullish, but in a downtrend. QQQ is a bullish, dysfunctional uptrend. All right. FNGU. Let's take a look at that one. All right. Let's back out here because there's a lot going on here. This is an all-time low. That's an all-time high. That pink line's an all-time high anchored VWAP. This dash line is the quads. All right. So this would be the 50-yard line, midfield, mid-court, half-court, whatever you want to call it, whatever sport you favor. Okay. So this is midfield. So they're on the bulls would be in control if we are up over the midfield, and the bears would be in control if we're under midfield or the 50-yard line. So right now, the bears seem to have more control over the 3x leveraged ETN on some of the most highly weighted stocks inside the QQQ and SPY. All right, so you can see this is causing some of that melt off that we see in QQQ and SPY. So this is FNGU. It's the daily chart. Okay, so candle for this day is a higher low and a higher high. We close inside a bearish trap, but under that flat 17. We are under the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. We're under the midpoint. We're under the flat 17. All right, so we're neutral because we're not in the lower third. We're not in the upper third. So we're neutral, and we still have not made a higher high. All right, so we're neutral and in a dysfunctional downtrend because since making the lower low, they have not made, they have not moved lower. They've actually moved to the right or melted up a little bit. So dysfunctional downtrend on FNGU. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. That's FNGU. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold, and then we'll hit oil and gas. So here's silver. Silver got a lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the flat 17, under the pink line, the all-time high anchored VWAP, not in the upper third, so neutral and in a downtrend. Let's take a look at gold. So gold doing about the same thing, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, under the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Has not made a lower low yet. We'll see. Yes, they have. In a downtrend. See, there's a low here. And there's a high. And then here's, you can see these lows are below this. So lower low. So downtrend on GLD, but bullish. All right, here's the origin of the move back here on gold and silver. back here in 2022 was where the origin started, and they moved all the way up here. All right, so bullish, but in a downtrend on GLD and silver. All right, well, yeah, silver is neutral, but in a downtrend. Gold is bullish, but in a downtrend based on the location. So there's gold and silver. Let's take a look at USO. So here's USO, high flyer here. Let's just zoom out. Where's my quad lines? How come they're not there? All right, back to 2022 right there. Okay, so here's USO. Up in quadrant 4. Remember, this is the origin of our move back here in 2023 right here. Okay, so this is bullish up at the top of quadrant 4, and they're in an uptrend because they are making, there's a high, higher high, higher high, higher high. They haven't made any lower lows. So there's USO on the daily chart. All right, nice 4-candle consolidation. Maybe we get a rip today. We'll see. That's USO on the daily chart. Let's take a look at UNG. UNG, I'll zoom way out so you can see where that is. And you can see UNG down here in quadrant 1. So that's bearish. This is a 12-month high anchored VWAP. And you can see how many times they struggled with that to hold the higher ground above it for the past 12 months. Very unsuccessful in holding the higher ground above that 12-month high anchored VWAP. I just want to point out, by the way, this is the all-time low right here, okay, in January. That's an all-time low, 995. We're in quadrant 1, so that's bearish because we're in the lower third, okay. We're in a uptrend currently, all right, because we made higher lows and higher highs. We have not made any lower lows yet. So we're in an uptrend, but bearish because we're down here in quadrant 1. Okay, so that's a daily chart of UNG. Again, you can see underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP all the way down here, quadrant 1. Okay, let's take a look at T2101 technicals. T2101. So yesterday the market melted up, right? So, but we lost a little bit of participation, okay, or market breadth, okay. So that's would be a bearish sign right there, melting up and losing participation. All right, T2122, a bullish sign in that we made a higher high. So notice on the 16th there was the high there. On the 13th made a higher high, did it again on the 17th, okay, but we still keep coming back to either the sell zone or the oversold zone or the seller's chop zone, okay. So there are some bullish pockets of rally here, but all in all, when you put the minutes together and start adding them up at the end of the day, you know, with 6.5 hours of 60 minutes, we're winding up on the bearish side of the midpoint each day. Okay, kind of showing us bears have control. Okay, just like I said right here, pockets of bears in that we're moving up and we're getting less participation. The market should love that. There should be more participation, but there's not. Okay, so T2123. You can see here is the all-time high. Since making that all-time high, we have made lower lows and lower highs. So we're in a downtrend. We're underneath the falling 200 SMA. So that's bearish whenever that happens. I like to be above it, or at least moving up toward it to cross over it. So that's bearish. And you can see from the all-time highs to the pullback low, we are at the bottom of quadrant 1. That's also bearish. All right, so bearish and in a downtrend on the 15-minute chart. On the 3-bar chart, okay, so This was the old all-time high. Then this is April. This is the origin of our rally right here. From April, we go up and we produce last year in October or September, we produce a new all-time high. Since making that all-time high, we have a pullback to a higher low. And from the higher low, we consolidate over the 200 SMA, and the bulls get inspired yet again, and only enough to take us for another rally up to make a new all-time high right there, okay, which you saw earlier on the 15. So that is the most recent all-time high right up there on T2123. So if we look at price, you can see here's the origin of our rally back here in April. We're up here in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. But on the 3-bar chart, if we zoom in here, okay, and it's all about the 17. All right, there's a low below the 17. Then look at this. Here's the lower low. Here's an even lower low, and then here's even lower lows. So we're maybe bullish up here in quadrant 4, but we are in a downtrend on both the 15 and the 3-bar chart. Okay, a little bit different on the 3-bar. We're above the 200 SMA, whereas on the 15, we are below the 200 SMA. Okay, let's take a look at Stinker. Stinker yesterday did a little melting, did a little work on the upside as well. As you can see here, was some highs from Monday, and they made a higher high up there, and then they made a low, and then they did not make a lower low, so we're still remain in an uptrend on Stinker on the 15, but we are under the flat 200 SMA. We are under the all-time high anchored VWAP, which is this pink line right here. So still quite a bit of work to do for FNGU. On the dollar index, all right, and here is our 2025 high for the US dollar. And you can see we go into a daily downtrend where we start making a series of lower highs and lower lows, only to produce a big bear flag over here to the right. And the bulls have tried to break up the bear flag. You can see once they failed here. They failed here and here. And looks like they're failing again this week right there. So we closed near the 99.55 area inside of our big bear flag. But we're in a daily uptrend because we got a low. All right, there's a high, so we got a lower high, but then we got a higher low, and then a higher high. So we're in a daily uptrend on U.S. dollar index. Let's take a look at technicals, not technicals, but economic package. One more time. Got to get something to drink. All right, earnings tonight. Micron's supposed to report. Yeah. $500 billion on Micron. That is technology. That will be part of the tip of the spear when it comes to rallies. All right, because that's pretty much what starts off all of our rallies is technology and semiconductors, and we have both right here in Micron. So all eyes will be on Micron tonight. Okay, a lot of that. Now there's some more familiar names here, but these will not move the markets. Nothing like technology will move the market, especially if it's one of those big cap ones, and this one is one of those big cap technology. So all eyes will be on that, okay, for tonight. Thursday, we got Alibaba, $315 billion. Again, there'll be more influence coming from Micron Technologies than there will be from Alibaba retail place or website, with $315 billion. PDD Holdings, not sure when they're going to report. Supposed to report today. We'll see if they can find the P&L. Accenture, $131 billion. PDD Holdings, $147 billion. FedEx, 82 billion. Again, more familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets. Not like Tech will from today. All right. So that was Thursday right there. On Friday, nothing but familiar names, but nothing that's going to be market moving. Back to Thursday, nothing here is going to be really. This may have a little bit of an impact if it prints really good numbers, Alibaba. But other than that, not really a market mover. Maybe like one time out of 20, it might participate with a market move, but it's not really going to influence the markets based on however it does. Basically, for us, it's another search engine with probably a whole lot of retail. All right there, attached to it. Okay, so not going to be a huge market mover right there. All right, back to Max Payne. Again, I'll reiterate 671 for the puts and calls that expired today. 1.2 puts for each call that expires today. Options expire. Daily options expire on securities expire at 4, and if they're on indexes, they'll be at 4:15. All right, now we got the economic calendar. All right, today, MBA mortgage applications is 7. PPI final demand, a delayed report at 8:30. Factory orders, a delayed report at 10 o'clock. Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, that's at 10 o'clock. Petroleum report at 10, so let's say 10:10 or 10:30. All right, and FOMC, which is the main event this week, at 2 p.m. with a little presser, probably from Mr. Powell at 2:30. All right. Thursday, we have jobless claims at 8:30. Philly Fed manufacturing index, 8:30. New home sales delayed report, 10 o'clock. Business inventories delayed report, 10 o'clock. And wholesale inventories pathway, I can't even read that, preliminary, delayed report at 10 o'clock. Okay, so both business inventories and wholesale inventories are at 10 o'clock, and they're both delayed reports there. Okay, we'll visit Friday when we get closer to Thursday. Okay, not much going on Friday anyways. You can see Baker Hughes rig count, and then Mr. Powell's going to speak at 10:30 in the morning. Okay, so we'll see. Usually the rig count's at 1 and 10:30 in the morning. I don't know what time. It says Eastern time, so we'll see what happens. All right, so that means the rig count should actually go underneath here because that happens before the rig count. But it is what it is. All right, that's it for me for today. All right, I will come back and open up the markets with you in about 35 minutes. Thank you all for bearing with me. Thank you for listening to me cough. I don't mean to cough in your ear, but I'm just trying to shake off that. I got kind of like a scratchy throat, so I'm trying to deal with that. But anyways, back to the charts, which are game plan right here. And we'll take a look at SPY one more time before I leave. Again, 10-minute downtrend. Looking to trade a continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. All right, on SPY. And I'm just saying, I think there's a good chance we get the brass ring today down here at 663. We'll see. All right, we'll see what happens. All right, so there's the 10-minute chart. We currently have a 10-minute downtrend, both SPY and QQQ. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, traders, thank you. I'll see you in about 35 minutes.